Good morning and welcome to today's live show. Maybe you're hearing some bowls jingle around because my boys are eating next to me right now. But today we're opening up just a little bit lower down by the daily expected move. So we need to go into a 30-minute chart. We got to go in pretty deep here and see if this 30-minute is going to cross over. Remember that when these are thinner, it usually leads to a 68% chance for some kind of day that's kind of lackluster, right? Some kind of day that might just keep us in this area. Okay, but for the most part, we could also say, hey, there's still a 32% chance to do something crazy, and the point where we could see something crazy is a little bit closer. So if we did need to dip down further, we will see this MACD cross down. I think that's the important thing for today. We're still looking at the dollar starting to drop off dramatically here, looking at the 2 hour starting to curl down. This makes total sense, right? It makes total sense to break out, try to retest, try to go higher, fail, maybe need to go deeper down into it, and then we'll see what happens. So as the market is dropping, I want you to notice that the dollar is dropping. That kind of tells us, hey, there might actually be some kind of move to the upside, some kind of rigged move to the upside actually taking place here. So the dollar is dropping off pretty dramatically. We notice that the SPY is dropping off decently dramatically, right? We're dropping off just a little bit here down towards that daily expected move. So this could just be some kind of mini trap to start off the day. We'll see if that's actually proven throughout the price action throughout the rest of the day. Make sure I have all my stuff up because I'm running a little bit behind right now. Alrighty. I have to do this real quick. But good morning, good morning, good morning. It is going to be a good one out there today. The only one really showing a ton of weakness to me is the Dow, actually. I think the Dow is the one that could experience weakness early on here, showing a possible triple divergence on the 30-minute forming. This is kind of what we were talking about with Apple, looking like it has that 30-minute divergence, and then it just pops up one more time. We'll see if that rotates back down. As of right now, looking at something like this, we notice that that is starting to come down. So if that starts to confirm down and keep going, that would be a bad sign. The 2 hour can reject, still not able to curl up and confirm that upside. So downside could be the likely option here. But we are noticing the dollar drop off while this happens. So that just tells me maybe I need to be a little bit cautious with taking any kind of downside plays just yet. Doesn't mean I can't, doesn't mean the signals can't tell me to. It just means if things start to turn around, I have to be ready to react. How's everybody? Well, oh, I thought the mic wasn't working for a second. Thank you for coming in and liking right away. I really do appreciate it. We're getting some pretty good people here on the live show, and I really appreciate that. I'm glad you decided to spend part of your day with me. It means a lot because time's the only thing we don't get back. So I appreciate you dedicating your time to us this morning. I think it's a lot of fun, and we're more than happy to look at a stock for you. Just a quick note, I did leave the course sale up for today. I know I was like, I like to give one last opportunity for people to ask questions during a live video. Yesterday, obviously, I was like, oh, it's going to be the second. And then I go, oh, well, this kind of doesn't make sense because we give the live video so people can, kind of react and come into the channel, right? Come into the channel and just see if they want to ask some questions. So now that is happening, all right? So we'll actually get that going today. But for the most part, is your last opportunity to get the technical indicator scores, how to learn trade setups, even like this one here on the DIA, the divergences, MACD, RSI, all that good stuff, and trading around those weekly ranges. So as we look at these weekly ranges, we can see that they're pretty thin. We're going down towards a daily range. So you got to know what to see around that area, right? And you have to really understand what these things are. We teach all that stuff in the course down in the description, the technical indicators course, how to pretty much how to trade in any kind of market. That's that course. And then if you want the swing trading as well, you can get both right now for $150 and you are good to go. Like literally, if you can learn those a few of those skills in those two categories, swing trading and overall understanding indicators, how to trade with divergences and things like that, you can really be a great trader. And I'm being genuine about that because everything in the course that you see with swing trading, everything in the course that you see with the technical indicator scores, That's all I do. That's literally all I do. I'm literally telling you exactly how I do things. So I really appreciate you being here today. If you're looking forward to learning throughout the next week and you still want that discount, it will end today. It will end today. So we might leave it live for the video tonight, and then by the stream tomorrow, it will be over. All right. Looking forward, something interesting here. Volatility actually seeing this bounce up with some 2-hour divergences, or 30-minute divergences, sorry. So what does that mean for our 2-hour? Our 2-hour was able to cross up as of right now, so we can pay attention to it. But the ultimate signal we're looking for is a daily cross up. This is what we mainly need to pay attention to. And you notice we're about maybe 1 to 3 days away from actually crossing up on this MACD. But you are noticing that if you take the swing trading course, you know this is one of our indications that there's a possible trade setup forming. This just needs to get above that center line, and then this can cross. But for the most part, if you have 2 of those signals, it's a pretty good opportunity for some volatility to come in. But the only thing what we're worried about is seeing that dollar drop down while the market actually drops down is a big hint. Looking at the 30-minute, this is very key to understand for the SPY. Gapping straight down to a daily expected move very early on in the day. Okay, very early on in the day. So now from this area, you have a 68% chance to land right up here by the end of the day, right above this line. So if we do get more excited to the downside, just watch if that starts to rotate up. I think that this is not going to cross, but it doesn't matter what I think. What if we go see something crazy and then people get baited into getting those puts? We'll have to find out as the price action proves itself. Looking at the Dow, this is something that I was just mentioning this morning, gapping down as of right now. Sorry, had to look at some of my stuff real quick, but gapping down as of right now. We'll see what happens with this going forward. 30-minute crosses down, that won't be a good sign for the Dow. I'm just telling you right now, that will be a double top look. Right, that looks like a double top. Oh, sorry, drawing was really, really bad there, but that looks like a double top. You have triple divergence. You notice that this is lower than that. This is lower than that. Okay, that's triple divergence. So if that rotates down, bad things can happen. All right, I'm not necessarily leaning towards that, but I'm open to it because that dollar has bottom. That's kind of what we talked about in the video last night. I still think you have the opportunity for an all-time high trap. Okay, I think you do have that opportunity for an all-time high trap. So we're paying attention to it. But for the most part, you would just say, okay, if these things start to confirm down and the dollar has bottom, then that would make sense. So as long as we keep seeing that dollar scale up, then in the market falling, that would make sense. But right now you do have the dollar dropping off dramatically while the market drops down to a daily expected move, usually hinting that some people on the inside actually bought in that area. Volatility now going up 7.08%. As we click over to the SPY, we're noticing below that daily expected move, the Qs below that daily expected move. If they cross over, not a great sign. Apple, this one showing some weakness on the 2-hour, right? Showing that weakness on the 2-hour. You're looking for the daily to cross here. So you do have a day or two left to try to build back up before that actually crosses. Tesla, as we look at that, breaking to the upside, has curled up on the daily MACD from that zone. 2-hour has curled up, so positivity most likely option here, and positivity is what we are getting. Amazon was one I was a little bit critical on. Creating some kind of handle would be nice. Even if we do it right now, some kind of consolidation would be okay here. What I'd be looking for Amazon is a 30-minute pullback that can then rotate back up. If that keeps going down, starts to cross over some bigger time frames, right? If that 2-hour crosses over for Amazon, it's not going to be a good look. Nvidia dropping off dramatically. Now, the key thing to understand with Nvidia here was from the video last night, we said, if this crosses up, that's great, but has it crossed up yet, right? We quickly say that all the time. If this crosses up, it'd be great. I need to react, but has it crossed up yet? No. So the most likely direction is still down or sideways. Right now, proven to be downside. So we have to pay attention maybe to a bottom side weekly expected move, which looks like we're heading right for it. So if we head for that weekly expected move, that would be an interesting time. Now, let me just do some readjusting here. see if I can. Sorry, I'm doing some management right here for a moment. I just want to see how things are shaping up this morning. As NVIDIA keeps dropping down, it's going to a weekly expected move. Literally right in this area is a weekly expected move. I'll just let you know. As we go to AMD, we're noticing similar to NVIDIA not confirming the upside here. Not confirming the upside here. So still, you see how it's very close to crossing. It's not crossing though, which tells you, okay, maybe this needs to drop a little lower. Maybe it needs some kind of point of divergence, right? Here would be where you hopefully do reject and start to just turn back up, right? That's what I'd be looking for from something like AMD. Maybe it needs to head down to a weekly expected move first thing though. So we'll pay attention to that. Meta, this one here, starting to curl back up, right? Was able to curl up on a 2 hour. So weirdly enough, even though Meta dropping off, the most likely thing still is to be experiencing some kind of bounce. If that rolls over, that would change. Microsoft, similar boat here, looking like, hey, if that can cross up, it did. So this zone would make a lot of sense. As we go into things like AMC and GME, we still need these things to confirm up. Let's give you those updated levels for this week for AMC and GME. AMC, you're looking at a 523. Boom, so really, really close, right? Pretty damn close to seeing something crazy. And then GameStop, we can see some pretty good upside there, almost 5% up. And what do we notice here from GameStop? Well, we need to update this level to about 25.96. So you got to get above 25.96 to really see something crazy. All right, something that we also noticed was gold giving some topping patterns here, looking for if gold can cross over on a daily MACD, and it has. So this is one opportunity that I actually did take. As the dollar did bottom, I could see those reversal signals in gold and say, okay, this looks like a good opportunity for some kind of reversal. We'll see, we will see. I think I'm just gonna hold on to my positions for now. I don't think they look too bad, to be honest. Gold position looking pretty decent. Volatility position, not necessarily seeing the SPY do anything too dramatic at this point. So we'll see what happens with this guy. Now, a key thing to understand as well is that these weekly ranges have really closed up. So that kind of tells me two things. If the daily crosses over, that's bad. We can experience something crazy. Maybe a monthly expected move or something like that comes into play. But if that 2 hour goes up, that's more what I'm paying attention to at this time. We'll see what happens with that going forward. Got to pay attention to a lot in this market this week. That's why it's going to be an important one. So I encourage you. That's why we said, you know, have some fun over the weekend. Make sure to treat yourself and come back fully reloaded, because it looks like we're still moving sideways as of right now, still in positive territory for this 2 hour, which is a good thing for some positivity in the future if we just can cross up. You notice we never crossed up, never confirmed the upside here. I have a weird feeling that I should be I just have a weird feeling that I shouldn't be in this position. And then this one is one that I'm like, Still paying attention to it, but I did take a little something for this guy here. Just seeing that dramatically to the upside. I'm thinking about holding this. I want to see how long out my expiration is. I have it in my notes. Pretty good expiration, actually, so I think I keep that. Yeah, I think we keep these. All right, cool. Volatility really scaling up here, by the way. Daily looking like, hey, I might want to cross, right? So let's see if anything happens here as we approach some key levels. For the SPY, that key level being, hey, we're already below a daily expected move very, very early on in the day. That's a key thing to understand. Qs were outside of it as well, going down to the weekly expected move at this moment. NVIDIA heading down towards a weekly expected move as well. The bottom of this being 113.02, a little bit of room there still to go down, but it can hold up pretty much in there. It's $1 away. Yeah, about $1, actually 50 cents away from hitting that weekly expected move. So very good stuff there. Sorry, I'm just kind of looking around first thing. I'm not trying to pay too much attention to chat just yet. Just because I want to make sure I'm not seeing anything funky. Oh, that's what I need to check. I also needed to check the data that we get going forward today. We will get the PMI at 9 a.m. Okay, so we'll get that PMI at 9 a.m. We'll see what happens with that going forward. Dollar still kind of holding lower while the market heads lower. What I want to see is I want to see that PCC early on. I want to see what people are positioning like. And if that PCC is still high, that would tell me, ooh, something different can happen. Something can really start to turn back around. 913. Okay, so that's a 2-week play. I got to look at my notes too. All right, let's check on you guys in the chat. How we doing this morning? GME might actually hit 25.32. It really might. GME doing some good stuff. You just need to get above 25.96 this week. Yeah, and AMC as well. Yeah, so we did update AMC as well, 523. So you got to get up to about 523. You're curling down on a 30-minute, not the best sign. But there are people, I can tell just by my option, I can tell people are buying some call options for the date of the, let me look at the dates here. Looks like the 20th of September is what some people are buying at this moment. Bitcoin is dumping as of right now. Huge sell-off from Bitcoin, actually. So Bitcoin actually a good look here for the 4-hour, right? We see that 4-hour divergence. It confirms up. That's fantastic. Now you got to say, okay, if that 2-hour crosses, bad things can happen. So it looks like some downside. Maybe we make another point of divergence. That's what I'm going to probably think is going to happen here, unless that starts to cut this low and not make that divergence. We want to treat it like, oh, if this crosses, that's right by negative territory. That's bad. But if it would turn around like this, hey, you might have a nice little signal there for Bitcoin. That's when we'll look over at things like Mara, right? We'll look at things like Mara on, say, a 2-hour, 30-minute chart or something like that. Maybe Mara backs off and then curls right back up. We'll see what happens with that going forward. But GME up 4.23% now. Whoever told me to sell my GME option, I'm pissed. AMD and NVIDIA really suffering now. Okay, really, really suffering now. I'm gonna go look at some stuff here. All right, let's look for NVIDIA pricing for a moment here. Interesting. Okay. Fun. What happened? Crash? Well, no, not necessarily. We're not seeing everything proven yet. We are seeing volatility scale up pretty well here. Just so you're aware, that 2-hour has crossed up. Volatility kind of popping off at this moment. So the daily scale here is looking like, hey, that could cross up at any time. So we really want to pay attention if this crosses. Just know this can fade by end of day. We'll see what happens with this going forward. I want to see if there's a high PCC this morning as the dollar has come down just a little bit. So as of right now, the Dow trying to cross down as well. We see that 2-hour rejecting as of right now. Doesn't mean it can't make some kind of 30-minute move higher, right? It's still crossed up into positive territory, but you did set up another point of divergence. Well, the sell-off is probably due to NVIDIA failing to cross up on a 2-hour and still being the direction is down for now. So still the direction is down for something like NVIDIA until that thing can curl back up on a 2-hour. So that's the main reason that I see it. Momentum shifted down on a 2-hour, and that momentum is still pointing down. There's no reversal signals here, really. So unless you can really buy up right here and create some kind of signal for us, other than that, you just say, oop, this doesn't look too good for NVIDIA, doesn't look too good for AMD, but both of them going down towards weekly expected moves and things like that. So we can pay attention to it. Gold was my other one that I got to keep an eye on. Really starting to fall down for gold. I kind of like that. Gold will be my overall one I'm going to hold because that's starting to go negative on a 2 hour, starting to cross on the MACD as of right now. So gold's starting to drop off, it looks like. We'll see if that's able to buy back up by the end of the day. Thoughts on Palantir? Let's go check on Palantir, down about 1% from this level. I still like the idea that Palantir is going to go make some kind of divergence, but as you kind of stutter step, I would say, right? You stutter step, you're not really seeing that continued breakout moment. You have to pay attention to if this can curl down. If that curls down, then you look for that weekly expected move, right? And you look for this kind of setup. If that doesn't happen and it just keeps going, then you're seeing something crazy. So 2 hour crosses down, bad things can happen. Right? Bad things can happen. Right now you have a 30-minute trying to cross back up, kind of failing, but it is crossed back up and it's kind of coming down here. So what you want to see from this is it to just wick up and start going higher, because that's what your indicator is telling you should still be happening at this moment. Obviously, if that 30-minute crosses down, where is it? It's very close to the center line, so I'd be paying close attention to Palantir if it crosses on that 30-minute MACD for Palantir. I still think these things have a good chance to make one more move up, but if the signals start to confirm down, I will change my thinking. Apple, this one had a major reversal signal, right? The 2 hour, we talked about it in the video. So this could just say, hey, I'm going to cross down on a daily scale and start to go down right now. This is what a lower high would look like for Apple. We'll see if it comes to fruition, but for the most part, you would say that looks like a downward move for Apple. Good morning, Short Fridays. Let's go see what's happening across there. Okay, PCC still a little bit high. Maybe it needs to be a little higher, but for the most part, you have the dollar coming down, you have a high PCC, and the market's going down at the same time. This tells me there could be some kind of buying actually happening, just a little bit. It's nothing too crazy, and we do get data in about 13 minutes that can really change some things or escalate the selling. And I'm going to talk about escalating the selling a little bit, because depending on that data, the point where we're at right now is telling you, hey, we're below that daily expected move, meaning if we get some bad data, that can really shoot down towards 555. Not saying it has to, it hasn't curled down on this MACD or anything yet, but if we do get bad data, that is where the overall target would be. Tesla looked okay, but it's starting to give it away, right? It's starting to give it away. So the 2 hour curled up, right? So the most likely thing is positivity still, right? We come back into the zone, we're able to jump out of it. I think that's fantastic. We'll see if that can continue to the upside. But if the, say, 30-minute or something like that rolls down, that's when you want to say, okay, now the direction, that momentum has picked up, right? It's not, we're not ever trying to call tops or anything like that fully. We're just paying attention to signals, and then if it rotates down enough, we could say, okay, maybe that was more of a top, right? We're just paying attention to momentum. It doesn't mean we're going to be in the exact top, the exact bottom. It means we're going to see that momentum shifting and then make a decision. GME still looks good. I'm just going to say that. Kava, though, we have to see if this is able to really turn up, I would say, on a 2 hour chart with that curving move, right? Curving move really close to the center line. That pops up for a moment here. You could have a 2 hour cross up that leads to what we would, well, we're in positive territory. So what happens when you're in positive territory? A lot of the time when you see that curl up, you test the high, you go make a new one. Something like that can happen, so we'll see if you can maybe build some structure to head up as well. Like a cup and handle would be nice here. A cup and handle would be fantastic here. Can we look at nail? Well, looking at nail, this needs to curl up on that 2 hour. That 2 hour curls up, you're kind of looking for that cup and handling type thing. But what I like to do for my analysis on this is still look at the housing sector. I'm going to click over it's going to look really similar. And look at that thing starting to bounce up. So now you have it above this, above this. It looks like swing trade to the upside. It looks like it's about to confirm on all cylinders. So that's what I'd be saying for right now. The Dow Jones. And gold making that nice move down. Those are ones that I'm supposed to hold a little bit. Up about 20% on both of the option plays. That's nice. Meta, we can go look at Meta real quick as well. This one here curling up on a 2 hour. The most likely thing here is positivity. Still positivity for Meta. You see that thing starting to boom. Gold really dropping off. But yeah, just a 2 hour cross up can go a long way for something like Meta. And you, Reese? Okay, and I'm a little bit worried about. I mean, yes, you are confirming more upside here, but just watch. If that 2 hour rotates down, that's not going to be a good thing for your daily scale. Your daily scale looks like what? It has some divergence on the RSI. Looks like it might need a pullback here for NU holdings. A pullback would be nice. Where would you go to? Really, where you broke out above the high, something like a 1360. You rotate down to that kind of slowly, and then you kind of base that out and turn back up. I think that would be the overall look for this one going forward, just because of the 2 hour signal if that were to confirm down. Now I'm talking about the bad thing, right? I'm talking about the bad thing, but obviously this has curled up into positive territory really close to that center line. Okay, so from this bar here, you would say positivity, test the high, go make a new one. Is that new one going to be brief? That's what I'm kind of looking for. How can I see weakness in this move? Well, I'd like to see like a 30-minute divergence or something like that. Have we gotten it yet? Not necessarily, but you do have it all the way across all of this. So if you do make that move higher, curl back down, curl back up, and you see this, that's when I'd really be paying attention for downside, a shift. Shoot, I meant to make weekly ranges for the Dow this week. Unlucky. But we do have a moment here. Now the dollar actually flashing back to positive. We'll see what happens in about 8 minutes. I think in about 8 minutes, we're going to see some interesting behavior. What I want to see from the Dow is, can it curl back up again on a 30-minute? This is looking very toppy to me for the Dow. See that 30-minute signal? Like we were talking about with NU Holdings. This is more like, okay, now we're getting that signal and we are failing right now. So if that continues to head down from here, that could be a bad sign overall. Yeah, VIX looking pretty good. So daily hasn't crossed up yet. I still think we're going to maybe have a little bit of a rip around kind of market. So I think something interesting for volatility would be you kind of break down, you do something like this, and then you lead into Thursday, Friday with some kind of reversal signal from the 30-minute. But if that daily confirms up, the 2 hours already done it, right? The 2 hours already doing it. So it's saying I'm going higher. But is this just going to consolidate again, right? Pull back again. We'll see if that 30-minute can rotate down. The big signal is, does the daily confirm up? Covered the SPY puts. That's probably, you know, that's a diligent decision. I mean, obviously you're making your own decisions, but for the most part, coming outside of that weekly expected move and now experiencing some more downside, right? We're going down, we're going down, we're going down. We get data in 7 minutes, so we'll see what happens with that going forward. Dollar breaking about even as of right now. PCC still remaining higher. Okay, so higher here for the PCC. Exactly, Robert, and I think that's kind of the case here, but we'll pay attention if things really start to reverse down, right? Like the Dow showing terrible signals and things like that. We can pay attention to those things, right? We can really pay attention and then see, okay, is this going to head deeper down? Is this going to do this? Is this going to do that, you know? The only one, I'm going to get out of some positions actually for my downside plays. I'm going to look at reversal signals the other way if we start to see them. Possible UTAD. You check the volume on you and you. Yeah, we can look at the volume real quick as well. You're just not seeing that like distributive move really down. I think you need to see a little bit more than this, right? You need to see a big red bar down, chopping this low, and then I'd be kind of convinced. But I see what you're saying. Kind of like Wyckoff maybe at the top, you want to say. I think you'd maybe want to get that reaction down, do something like that. Check the volume. Whoa, some dead volume there on the next bar. As of right now, you got to see what happens at the end of the day. Like, how it's going, by the way, is 33% of the volume, 30 to 40% of volume comes in the last hour of the day. So we'll be coming back for that live stream at the end of the day. GGG is sinking, and with it, my soul. Yeah, it's still sinking down, so it hasn't confirmed back up on this daily scale just yet. Hasn't confirmed back up on that daily scale just yet. That 2-hour divergence did not confirm yet. So we still have to pay attention and be patient overall with that. The Dow, what are you wanting to do? Curling down on the 30-minute as of right now for the Dow. SPY breaking down to lower levels as of right now. Some possible setups here. Let's see. Let's go look at the Qs for a brief moment here. Alrighty, let's see what happens throughout the rest of the day. Q's below the weekly expected move very early on here. Okay, very early on below that weekly expected move. So very interesting to see that. Now, this could mean that something ugly is going to happen right away. We talked about this early on in the YouTube video last night, how when these ranges for things like the SPY and the Qs get kind of thin, that's when you want to pay attention because something crazy could happen. You know, most likely thing was dud day, but as it, you know, opens up below that daily expected move, we can now use that as a resistance. Maybe we need to head lower. But the key thing here for the Qs, we're actually seeing it hit a weekly expected move in the first 30 minutes of the week, right? So we're seeing that hit that in the first 30 minutes of the week. So that's something big to pay attention to. That means we can see a 68% chance to land up in here. And we have a whole week left. So who's to say by Friday, you're not actually right back up towards 482, right? So we get data in about 2 minutes. We'll see what happens with the PMI. What's up, Legini? How you doing? Crucial jobs report lies ahead. Okay, so now they're talking about jobs report. Aren't we good at paying attention to the right thing? Jobs reports this week are coming out. If you are unaware, we're going to go through these a little bit for just a moment here. Seeing here, this is the data we're going to get in a moment. Notice that's not necessarily related to jobs. After that, we're going to get some mortgage rate stuff. But Wednesday, so tomorrow, we'll actually get the JOLTS job openings at 9 a.m. That's going to be your first important one right there. And then going further down, we have ADP employment change. We have initial jobless claims. Now we will get some bigger data like the ISM services PMI, but just remember jobs are what to pay attention to. Jobs, jobs, jobs. The Fed balance sheet comes out, and then Friday we will get non-farm payrolls and unemployment. They can really fudge this. This one's harder to fudge. So this is the one I'm really paying attention to, seeing if we can get some kind of rigged numbers to come out early in the week, and then we see unemployment come out and things start to really shift. All right. Lastly, I just need to check on one of my trades being gold. I see this big drop down. I see it, I see it, I see it. Watching if that 2-hour can curl back up, but the daily has confirmed down as of right now. That's not a good, that's actually a great sign for the dollar. The fact that gold's kind of confirming on the daily down means that the dollar might actually continue to go up. But as of right now, we have some people who are buying puts in the market. We have a low dollar, and the Qs are actually down towards a weekly expected move. So all of that would lead me to believe, okay, maybe there's a good probability we're going to see some kind of rigged move back up by the end of the week. So we'll pay attention to that. For the most part, looking over at the data, that's what I need to check on real quick here. Ooh, gold just dropped all of a sudden. We're just noticing from the data this morning, the PMI coming out at 47.2, supposed to come in at 47.5. The previous was 46.8. So it looks like we are seeing a lower number. Now we're going to see how the market reacts to that lower number. I think I just hang on to that. I've just got too many plays. I usually only like to take like 2 to 3 plays at a time. For some reason, I have like 5 plays going on right now. And they're just little plays. They're nothing too crazy, but like still. They are annoying. Q is coming outside of that weekly range very, very early on here. I would just really be paying attention to this. Yep, here we go. All right. Let's see what happens if we're able to build back up over time and confirm back up. This all might just be some kind of trap this morning. Dollar is starting to scale back up, though, as we touch the top of our zone. Volatility still remaining high, not curling down just yet. Dow still going a little bit lower. IWM really suffering as well, really wanting to curl down here. GME giving up a lot of the gain here as well. Interesting. Let's go back over to the Qs real quick. Let's just see how this is reacting. See that buying up starting to happen here? We'll see what happens going forward. I mean, you got to think about it too. Like if you just take dailies into consideration, where could you end up by the end of the day? Well, we could end up at 480.53 if we really wanted to. We'll see. This has to turn back up, and then we can see if we make it to back to the middle of that range, I would say. Dow still dropping off there. The Dow is dropping off, by the way. It's timing out. I'll go test it real quick just to make sure it's working on my end. It should be working fine. But every once in a while, you know. Oh, mine's starting to time out a little bit as well. Let me check over on teachable status here. Okay, they identified a delay on teachable as of right now. So it looks like they have a few little problems going on this morning and they're trying to fix those. So might just give it a little bit of time. They're usually pretty quick at fixing those things. Keyword usually. All right, Q's, what are you gonna do today, huh? What you gonna do? Apple going down to our 225.84 level, trying to hold up a little bit. We'll see if that 30-minute can rotate back up. Tesla finally flashing down to negative for a brief moment there. That was interesting. Nvidia going all the way down towards its weekly expected move. It's already touched its weekly expected move, by the way. It's already gone below it this week. But we got to see if things are going to start to turn around. If not, we could be experiencing something ugly right now because the Dow is confirming that 30-minute down, saying 30-minute divergence, watch out, 2 hours rejecting. We can start to curl down on a daily chart, all right? So this daily chart can start to curl down over the next few days. We'll see what happens, though. A lot can happen by the end of the day as you're outside of weekly expected moves. If the options market isn't anticipating this type of move, what could they do? Well, they just go, well, we want to send stocks higher. Boom. They use that liquidity from those orders to actually head higher. Noticing that PCC is still up towards that 0.95. And the dollar is still negative as of right now. No real reversal signals, though, for volatility at this moment. I thought that was interesting. We're just seeing that thing start to scale up pretty dramatically there. Dow still pointing in a downward direction. VIX still climbing, my goodness. So now we're going to see some rip around moves, though. So just know that volatility is higher, aka this could mean volatility is higher now, and then you could see that rebound. So we'll see what goes on with this throughout the day. As of right now, negativity is the most likely option. Seven, 4, 7, 4, 7, 4, 7, 4, 7. Alrighty. Real estate and banking are tanking. Well, the housing sector is pointing down as of now, which means nail is most likely going to be pointing dramatically down as well. We were talking about that. Now, these are some crazier moves, right? These are things that have not curled up yet. These are things that on the HGX, the housing sector, I believe, has not curled up yet. So these things, you really want to wait for those confirmations if you are taking something early with only, say, 2 of these signals, right? One being the RSI, one being the price action. That's fine. You just have to know, hey, I need to be open to managing that trade. 30-minute turns down here, that's not a good sign. Has it turned down yet? No. HGX soft constant spend minus 3% when forecast at 0. Yeah, see, that's not a good sign for the housing market to get that kind of thing. Qs might be stretching down just a little bit lower. Do I have the right, like these weekly moves look so thin to me. I keep double checking them. No, that's where it is. Okay, people starting to buy calls. Let's look at the dollar here, dropping down still. Dollar negative, PCC still higher. So it tells me we could, you know, all the signals are there for a rigged move to the upside. So if we start to flip this around quickly, I'd be paying attention because we could end up going to the upside weekly expected move as well this week. But just waiting, got to be patient. Not a lot's happening, right? We got to wait a solid probably hour into the market before we actually see what's going to happen. Wait for that first retail hour to kind of be over. Trying to look for it. If things are so negative, then why is Tesla positive kind of deal going on here? Oh, Tesla. What are you doing, my dude? Apple, see if that can turn back around. Amazon, this could pull back and that would make sense. Nvidia already pulled back dramatically. No divergence down here either. AMD. One divergence here for AMD, right? We see that upward move here for that RSI. On the MACD, you see that upward move. So it's right now the direction is down, but you notice how it could quickly, if things start to confirm back up, we'd have some reversal signals here. So I'd be paying attention to things like maybe AMD. And just the fact that the Qs are outside of its range very early on in the week. That you don't see that very often, but it is very early on in the week. We are outside of the weekly expected move. A lot of the time you'll see that on a Monday or Tuesday, but it'll be like, you know, in the afternoon on Monday, in the late day on Monday, or morning of Tuesday. This is in the first hour. The first hour of the week, we are experiencing some major downside. Very, very good. Was able to take some profit off of some downside plays. And now we can look for anything going the other direction. Right now, I'm just noticing that gold is trying to turn back up, even with that daily crossing down. So this is one that, will I be buying calls on? Hell no, because it just crossed down on a daily scale. Will I be even selling my downward option just yet? No, I'm going to be chilling on that bad boy for a little bit. Unless that thing starts to turn back around. The Dow is really looking weak though, so Dow really not liking all this. Curling down on that 30-minute, continuing to head down in this area. Not that good of a look for now. Damn, I was supposed to make a freaking weekly expected move for that. Probably should. Sorry about the Teachable. They seem like they're having some technical issues as of this morning. So if that persists throughout the whole day, we'll leave it up for tomorrow. We'll leave the sale up. You know, if something wonky does happen, I do leave the sale up. I don't just say, you know, oh, bad luck and leave you in the dust. No, I want you guys to be able to learn this type of stuff. Swing trading is something that can come in handy soon. And then I would just say, if you're going to take the swing trading, try to get the other course as well, because you're going to most likely see a rip around kind of market that's going to give you a signal that you need to know how to trade if we do something like this. So something like that would be nice. We'll see. SPY rejecting, still in positive territory there. Tesla telling you upside's the most likely option and able to hold up a little bit better. Dollar flipping back to positive now. So now we're seeing an interesting move here. Now we're seeing some of that rigged behavior go away for a brief moment. But I think the important thing to watch is just see if the Qs are going to get that reaction. As of right now, rejecting, even with the cross up too, that's what kind of sucks here, is like it crossed up, giving you all of the swing trade signals, and sometimes it's just unlucky, right? A stock can move up or down at any time. This thing moved down. So 2-hour signal here saying, hey, the swing play is on. We dip down one more time. We'll see if that's able to turn back around at this moment. That's pretty much all we can do. Also, is this, what is this right here? This point right here, is that a divergence? Oh, you actually do have a slight one. If you could turn around right here, I'd be confident to say, hey, there's divergence down by that weekly expected move. Might even look into this for a second. Now, we are seeing something a little bit crazy as of this morning, so the craziness can continue. We're seeing some topping signals from a lot of areas, so we can pay attention to those. But for the most part, we could say, ooh, Q's dropping down pretty significantly here, and not the best look going forward. I think we really want to see what the Dow ends up doing by the end of the day, actually, because the Dow can give us that direction. As of right now, the direction for the Dow is down. And you are rejecting that 2-hour cross up. So the Dow really screaming weakness here. IWM screaming some weakness here. The SPY saying I'm weak. heading towards a weekly expected move. We do gravitate to that level, so a little bit more downside would make some sense here. See if we head down just a little bit more. I'm going to look at the SPY for the time being, see when that actually goes. If it's going to go to a weekly expected move, that would be very early on. And then you have two ticks for you. You have the SPY and the Qs both going outside of their 68% zone in the very early on, very, very early on. Well, I guess I keep saying Monday. On Tuesday, I guess it's a Tuesday. Dang it, I keep doing that. On Tuesday morning here. So it is very early on in the week to make a move like this, but I keep forgetting that we're a day late, right? We have a day here that did not even happen. We shall see, we shall see. See what volatility is shaping up 17.5%. That's a big upside move. Now we got to see, did that cross up? It still didn't cross up on the daily, but that could follow through tomorrow if we hold at these lower levels. If we don't see any kind of bounce back, the only thing that's weird is Tesla still remaining pretty strong. If we're experiencing something really, really bad, then why is Tesla looking kind of actually strong here? Now the dollar is starting to scale back up. All right, you're seeing the dollar start to curl back up. If that curls up on a 2-hour, what does that mean? It means the dollar is most likely heading to higher levels. We'll see what happens with that going forward. PCC just jumped to 1.052. We can squeeze some people in this area. We can see a squeeze, but right now everything is pointing to downside. See if we can get a reaction at some point. Alrighty. I want to see, is the SPY going to head there? Is it going to get there? Is it going to get there? Well, the good part is in the video last night, we pay attention to both sides of the story, which is if the 30-minute dropped off, hey, we could see some downside, maybe down to this area, maybe even down to a weekly expected move. We'll see if we can base out from that area. As of right now, Q's really turning down. The only thing is the dollar is now scaling up. Okay, so as the dollar scales up, that's kind of telling us, okay, maybe there is going to be some kind of move to the downside, right? So if we were seeing that dollar still go further negative, that would be more what I would be paying attention to. And then I assume gold actually not seeing more weakness with that dollar turning up, not seeing the most weakness there. Volatility itself really scaling up here for volatility. Good reversal signals too. Boom. QQQ sitting at 469 outside the weekly expected move. 68% chance. Do something like that. Let me read through chat a little bit here. Let's see. VIX really turned up. Please check the VIX resistance at 1850. We are close. Well, the main thing with volatility is the daily scaling up, but this is a sign that we could be scaling up pretty quickly here. But just notice as we get to the level we're at on the RSI, what normally happens up in this area? Well, we see some turn downs, right? We'll see some bouncing. Maybe some people are caught off guard by this. They push the market higher for a moment, grab that liquidity again, and then really ship it lower. Kalani saying to tread lightly today, and I think you're right to say that. As of right now, going up towards, you said 1850 looks like a good level for some resistance. I don't really see, I see everything looks good here for volatility. So unless this changes by the end of the day, we really see that wick all the way down. I would say volatility most likely popping off, already popping off by 17%. So maybe that actually will continue. Now, I think a key thing here for today is, do we make it to a weekly expected move, or are we just going to buy up a little bit above it? Right now, the Qs are already at it, so we'll see what happens. I think it's just a matter of a little bit of patience can go a long way. You think the VIX is topping already, Z-Shotty? I think you have an argument for that. What is the weekly expected on NVIDIA? If you want that info, the weekly expected moves, people do pay for that information, guys. Like, I do talk about them every once in a while. I can tell you right now, NVIDIA has already tagged its weekly expected move, and it might be out. It is outside of it right now. That's what I can tell you. It is outside of its weekly expected move right now. Yeah, the link is down in the description connected to the Patreon. So it'll say Patreon, join the Patreon to get, weekly ranges, and that's down in the description. But yeah, I can at least tell you this, happy Friday. Just people pay for that, so I don't want to, be telling everyone when people actually give their hard-earned money for it. Even though it's only a cup of coffee a month, I really do appreciate it. But did you post? Oh shoot, I didn't post the weekly ranges, did I? I was so focused on the monthly ones. I'm sorry, guys. Gosh, I'm so sorry. Sheesh, my bad. That is bad. That is really bad, because you guys need those for trading today. Shoot, thank you for telling me, because my goodness, that is a fluke. I'm glad that's never happened before, but it's bound to happen at some point. There you go. Okay, let's get these up. Weekly expected moves. September. What is today? 3 through what, 6? Let's post those. I'm sorry about that, guys. I think I was so focused on the video, so focused on monthly expected moves, focused on making that video for Patreon around those monthly expected moves that I'm going to be giving out soon, that I just was like, I completely forgot to post them. But they're there now. They're there right now. I'm sorry about that. Hopefully you can forgive me. Because NVIDIA, and just letting you know, as you go over to Patreon and look at those weekly expected moves, NVIDIA and AMD are down by their weekly expected moves right now. Actually, AMD actually reacted off of it a little bit here. The low being 142.03. Ooh, could have gone a little bit lower actually for AMD. Right, the low, yeah, it could have gone like 2 points lower actually for AMD. But NVIDIA is definitely doing it. It is outside of a range for sure. Q is starting to try to wick back up. We'll see what happens with this going forward. Let me reload, chug some water, get back into it. I was kind of flustered this morning. My baby girl started saying dada all the time now, so I'm like, whoa. She is 7 months old as of yesterday. Part of me sometimes just goes, I always joke with my wife, I'm like, we kept her alive for 7 months. Oh, fun stuff. All right, wicking up. Can we see some help somewhere? Can we see some help somewhere? Dollar's still scaling up dramatically there. Dollar is scaling up dramatically. What is going to happen with jolts in the morning? What the heck? It's kind of crazy to go to a downward expected move before that jobs data, but dollar really scaling up here. It should mean bad things for gold, and gold really dropping off. Maybe even bad things for oil, oil dropping off. There you go. We shall see, we shall see. Thanks for keeping me in check about those ranges, though. Vix, you think it's topping on the 15-minute chart? Let's go look at it on a 15-minute. Maybe I'll see what you guys are seeing. Ooh, scaling up pretty hard here. I would still say a 30-minute turn down is what I'm looking for here, but 2 hour just scaled up, so you got to be cautious with it. This might be a fake out move. I'm still expecting the dollar to go higher, right? I talked about the dollar heading higher with the market, and now all we need is the market to actually go higher. Hasn't happened yet. That's a key note there. It hasn't happened yet. We haven't seen the SPY or the Qs try to make an upward move, but we are out of a the Qs are, this is what we kind of mentioned in the video, by the way, with the Qs, was if you get outside of this early on in the week, we said to the upside, but you know, downside, 30-minute curls down. Okay, now we're outside of it to the downside. You're out of 168% zone here. You're out of another one right here. So you have a pretty good probability here of actually crossing up. Yeah, and I saw the wick coming in for volatility a little bit there. We'll just see if that continues. You really need that to continue. If that 15-minute crosses down, though, good opportunity for that 15-minute at least pullback to start. If DJT falls below $15, I may move to Colorado and join a Venezuelan gang. So expect new all-time high, but maybe fill that gap below first. So you think we'll go all the way down and maybe fill this first? That would mean that something other than the jobs data may be leaking into something like the actual Fed interest rate decision is going to affect that. I'm still thinking the 2 hour is going to curl up into positive territory for the SPY. I'm still thinking this thing is still positive, so I should still be thinking, hey, this thing could just curl up and make the next upward move. We're building a ton of liquidity in here. Look how long we've been in here. We're building a lot in here, so if you break out, either direction can be ugly. All right, shotgun. But if this is such a bad crash, then kind of interesting for Tesla to just be going up. It's kind of like Apple that 1 week. We're like, if we're crashing, then why is Apple up 3%, you know? If the jobs data is so bad that we're going to continue to crash, then Apple really shouldn't be that bad. And right now that's Tesla this time, going up about 2%, confirming up still on the MACD for the 2 hour. Even here on a 4 hour, you might be confirming up. You're confirming up on higher time frames. Makes you feel better when things start to keep turning up. Lizard, we'll finish the day green. I'm leaning towards that style of thinking. Doesn't mean it's got to be right, but as of right now, I'm kind of leaning towards that. And I know that that's the more probable thing, is not necessarily to land green, but to land higher up from where we are right now. That's the more probable thing to happen based on your weekly ranges. It doesn't mean that it has to happen, because this MACD is curled down. So if that MACD is curled down, I shouldn't assume that really in the slightest. If it turns back up, that would be interesting. SPY on the monthly, monthly chart or the monthly ranges? That's what I'm wondering. Let's see. What about the chart on PLNT? Let me go look at that real quick for max effort here real quick, and then we will get back into some other stuff. Planet Fitness, if you guys don't know, the only gym that's close to me is a Planet Fitness, and that's where I work out. And it is, you know, I was almost a professional athlete, so it's not the best, but it gets the job done. I'll say that. I also worked at a Planet Fitness when I was in college for a brief moment. But for Planet Fitness, the 30-minute has curled up, looking for a little divergence here. I think that would be nice, but it looks like to me this could just be a 2 hour pullback. Okay, the 2 hour pullback. Let's keep it simple. Where's that 2 hour sitting at? Well, it's right by that center line. Now, this was a great trade setup. You see the divergences up here, turns down. Did the daily turn down? That's going to change things a little. If that daily remains turned down today, the most likely direction for Planet Fitness, I almost said Palantir, for Planet Fitness over the next 2 weeks is you're going to see a lower price than this right here. That's how I would like to put that this morning. But if you do see a 2 hour turn back up, that's just a simple swing trade. We could get one hip fire move, right? And that kind of adds to the validity of unemployment coming out on Friday. We make some kind of move like this, then Friday hits, uh-oh, watch out below. So it doesn't mean that has to happen, but if this does curl up, that's the trade. I wouldn't be looking to play this. I'd more be looking to play something like this later on. If that forms, that could be the better trade setup. That's why I'm gonna pay attention to it. VIX turning over, UVIX win on the upside, SVIX on the downside. Lost on the SVIX. If you're just a soccer player, dude, we're like, man, if you yeah, the thing about me is I'm like, I'm not trying to like be cocky or anything. I'm just a freak athlete. That's all that's been said to me is like, I play basketball, I'm fast, I know not to shoot. That's my only thing. I can dribble, I know to pass, and that's it. Very good at that. Volleyball, I love volleyball. That's a lot of fun. Too bad I can't do that too much. I can't dive around like I used to because my shoulders have both dislocated from soccer. I have a really noob question here. Is your strategic and method suitable for day stock trading, swing trading, equity trading, or rather more suitable stock option future trading? I would say it's more suitable for position option trading, like 2 week to 2 month out positions, right? But more so, you can use that information to trade any style. As long as you know those kinds of things, you can really trade it in any style. It's kind of like, let's see, if I was day trading or something like that, and I see this 15-minute curl like go down below a weekly and a daily expected move very early on, and then I see that turn back up, I would just buy maybe an option for the next day, right? You can still do that method. You just want to say, okay, what am I targeting? Because if I'm doing it for the next day, I can't really target this. Maybe I make a daily expected move for the next day. Let's say we end crossing up. Like we cross up like this, and then you go, okay, I'm gonna take something for an upside play. Well, then if we ended right here, then I would be looking at a daily move, right? If the daily move is here, the daily move is here, and we see that daily move up to here, that's where I'm taking profit, right? You can still use everything in any trading style. I just always say that day trading is one of the most difficult things. Only 5% of day traders every single day make money. So that means every single day, if you're not extremely, extremely, extremely good, if you just sit back and look at the general statistics of it, you would say, uh-oh, I only have a 5% per day chance to actually make money in this market. So I have to pay close attention. And it's very stressful. As far as being a position trader, though, I can sit, I can wait for a signal to confirm, make a 2-week play. If that sees the move the next day, I can make my money. If it curls down, I can scale in or manage the trade and then see that move again. So it just seems easier, but you can still use all the information you're going to learn in the course for any style of trading. It's just great information to know. If I was a day trader and I see a 30-minute divergence, and maybe in this scenario, I'm just a day trader in that I'm going to take profit the next day no matter what. So I take a closer expiration, say 2 days or something like that. And then I see, okay, that first push up, that 2 hour has crossed. I just go, okay, make my money. I think as far as day trading goes, taking profit earlier is a good thing to do. All right, I'm just looking at some stuff here real quick. Okay, we're pretty solid there. Nice. Q is really dipping to lower levels as of right now. Taking profit is surprisingly hard. And yes, as a day trader, that's why I think daily expected moves are so good for you. And to learn about those daily expected moves and exactly what they are, why they, especially if you're doing options. Okay, if you're doing options and you literally have lines on your chart that tell you where the options market is expecting something to go, high or low, then you would go, okay, that's where the sellers are lurking as far as options go. Okay, that's where buyers are looking as far as options go. So using daily and weekly expected moves to take profit is something very, very good. That's why it's like, if I was short, then and it goes outside the weekly move this early on in the week, I've actually covered a lot of my short positions. I'm still holding one of them, but you heard me covering a lot of those positions. Why was I covering a lot of those positions? Well, because the Qs are already outside of its weekly expected move. So I know that the percentages say we're going to do something like that. Does it mean I'm going to take big plays up to here? No, I'm going to take profit on my volatility play. I'm going to take profit on my short, even the Dow play. And then I can hold on to something that's crossed over on a daily MACD like gold. If this thing doesn't snap back by the end of the day, I can just hold on to this because that's crossed over on the daily scale and I have a little bit of timeout on that option. So helps me in the long run, but I'm still utilizing the methods that I teach, right? I'm still taking profit towards these weekly, as we get outside of these weekly expected moves. I'm still doing that to this moment right now. I'm just holding on to the one that has curled over on the daily scale. Hamid, well, thank you for buying the course. I really hope you enjoy it and you're busy, busy, busy. I get it. Maybe if you get some time over the weekend or just a free hour, it's good because the course you can really, you know, part of it is you can learn a little bit, take a little sidestep, maybe look at charts for 20 minutes, go get some dinner, and then come back and take another section. Each section is about, you know, anywhere from 15 to 30 minutes. So you can really learn a little bit, go practice, or just go kind of while you take notes or something like that. You can go eat and review your notes or something like that. Go do whatever you got to do, go to work, do that kind of stuff. And then you come back, review your notes, take the next section. I think it's great. That could be possible, Dave. We're kind of paying attention to what just what the signals are telling us. As of today, they're really saying, hey, I don't want to, what do we say? If you curl over on this daily MACD, it's a very bad sign. And that looks like we could be seeing a very, very bad sign, right? If that daily MACD does cross, where are we ending up? Down towards probably 454.99, 455, right? If that crosses, that's not a good sign. SPY, what are we seeing here? Oh, if that crosses, that is not a good sign. Tesla, or wait, which one was the one? I think it was NVIDIA. NVIDIA is crossing down on its daily scale. So watch out. There could be more here than meets the eye. There could be more happening here than even you assume, because this could easily just go like that, down towards 95.63. Or maybe I need to look for a monthly expected move. How far could NVIDIA go? Maybe $103. That's not the exact one, but $103 looks like somewhere you could go if this continues to head down. Maybe back into our zone. Where's $103 land? Somewhere in this area. Pull these across a little bit. I keep having to extend them every time. I don't know why this one's so far out, but there we go. I like it to be a little clean. But right now, Tesla heading up, dollar still heading up. PCC starting to drop some calls coming into the market as of right now. VIX, are you starting to top out? Not really. That's still a strong bar on the daily. So it looks like volatility might be here already. Look how close that is to crossing now. My goodness, if I zoom it out to make it look regular, it looks pretty damn close. One more day of volatility. That's why you kind of want things to reverse back up if you want to see that positivity. I'm really liking if we make an upward move. I'm really excited for that. I'm going to take some great option plays. I already have my plan set up if that happens. But for the most part, what's happening? It's still curling down. So should I be YOLOing into anything at this moment? No. Is the Dow still heading down? Dow's heading down still. Bought the course, still learning though, and I think that's fantastic. And it's very good to have charts up while you're doing it. Take a pause, look through one of your favorite stocks, see if you ever saw it, if you're on divergences, see if you ever saw a divergence. See if you see a divergence or something like that and be like, how did that play out? What would I have done? Would I have managed my trade or something like that? I don't have a VWAP on the on my stream right now. UVXY is a great play, right? This is what I've sold out of just now. So I'm out of this. I made some decent money with it. I go, okay, I'm out. Just because of one simple thing. I still have positions for downside, but I'm seeing things go down to what? A weekly expected move very early on. So I know there's more percentage chance for us to bounce. So I'm just mitigating my risk while still holding on to one overall short position. Yeah, divergence is just the dying out of momentum, right? So we see even this on your chart right now, you could consider a double bottom, right? Because you see how this is flat. And all you want to do is draw these lines, right? If you want to use a straight line, just go, okay, straight line across. We'll say even a little bit down, right? That's down, right? Now what you want to do is just keep it very simple. I want to see an opposite direction of this in my momentum indicator. So if this would turn around right here, what would you have? Well, an upward move versus a downward move. If this would turn right down from here on the RSI, what would you have? Well, you would have an upward move instead of a downward, right? The price action is going down. Your momentum indicators are going up, telling you that the momentum to the downside is dying off, right? So if, and this hasn't said it's died off yet, the only time this says it has died off is when this actually crosses. If that would cross up, that would tell me, okay, this crossed up, this crossed up. So that means the price action is going to go like this. The momentum is weak here, and now you're seeing that able to get into positive territory faster. Right here, which one's closer? This one or this one if it would curl up? It's this one, right? It's closer to going into a positive trend. This one further away. So divergence helps you get into that positive trend, which is really, really cool. It just means that you can reverse that around. But the basis of it is just this. Look at the downward price action and then see if that MACD and RSI are turning up. And you don't want to do like one problem I see for a lot of people is they'll do this. They'll see price action that's like this or something, and then they'll see a MACD and see a really, really low point over here, and then it went like this right here, and they'll say, okay, all the way across this is divergence. When you get a certain, like, it's just kind of common sense, but maybe I should talk about it. If there is a ton of space between the divergence, you want to take it with a grain of salt. You want to see it pretty quick on the price action. You don't want to see a roll over here, a roll up here, a roll back down here, and then that's the divergence. No, it's usually just a simple, you know, this one, as it's remained in this area, you could say that could be divergence, right? But if it's extended for quite some time, I think people have a problem with that. If you're going to see an extended divergence like that, up the time frame, because it'll be on your 2 hour, right? If we had that kind of structure, it would go like this and this and this, and then you would see that on a 2 hour. So just a note there for people, because I don't think we talk too much about that in the course, but the length, you don't want to convince yourself that there's a divergence between, like, I don't know, this point here and this point here, right? I don't want to say that's divergence in some way or something. I think that's something that people need to understand. Like, you want your divergence all within the recent price action. I see people do that all the time. Like, they just keep saying there's divergence, keep saying there's divergence, keep saying there's divergence, and it's like a 30-minute divergence that's 5 days apart. No, usually you'll see a 30-minute divergence within like 2 days apart or 1 day apart. SPY, as that goes down to the daily expected move, we'll see what happens, or the weekly expected move, my apologies. Looks like we are targeting for a weekly expected move as of this moment. We'll see what happens. Do I post my trades on Patreon? I post setups on Patreon. I don't want people getting into plays just because I'm taking them, right? I don't think that's a recipe for a good thing, because people aren't treating because that would mean if you're taking a trade because I'm taking it, you don't know my exact mentality behind the trade. You don't know the exact expiration behind the trade. You don't know the exact plan with taking profit is behind the trade. I'd have to tell you guys the entire plan, which is a whole paragraph, and then you have to remember all that, and then you have to react exactly as I do. And if you don't, then you could lose money. So I'm not in that. I'm just here to help people learn, and I will post trade setups on Patreon pretty much every once in a while, or I give a Patreon video pretty much every single week where we talk through signals that look good. GME buy, as far as GME, I haven't looked at that for a moment, but I would just say this, as long as that daily remains up, I'm pretty confident holding the stock. That's what I'd say. We're getting even closer to 25.96. Working together to gain the system. Well, yeah, but if you want to do that, then it would be okay. We can work together and do the whole system, and then if a bunch of people like lose money because they're not doing the trade exactly how I'm doing it, right? They do something slightly wrong, they lose a bunch of money, they go, okay, let me call my lawyer, and then I'll be in a bunch of trouble. That's why it's like, I want to give people the tools to be successful. It's like, I can sit there and help you shoot a basketball every single time, and I can shoot the basketball for you, and then you just watch it go into the hoop. But it's like, wouldn't you have more fun and be feeling better, feel more successful if you just were able to shoot the basketball yourself? Yeah, see, that's not me. Just now, every time I talk, I don't think telling people what you're doing is the best thing, especially for people who are saying, I'm buying this, I'm going definitely long here, and there's no reason why, I'm just going long. Like Meet Kevin saying something's worth, Nike's worth $500 at, X amount, and then convincing a bunch of people to buy it, and then it just drops down. I just don't see the benefit to the people, and I don't see how you don't get in trouble for giving financial advice, because at that point, it's financial advice. This is teaching you how to make your own financial advice, pretty much. You're going to be your own financial advisor by paying attention to signals. So, yeah, Meet Kevin, if you didn't know, he has a portfolio that someone put together. The portfolio has about 12 stocks in it, or I think it's 13 stocks. 10 of them are down by more than 60% today. So it's like, I don't want to get in that. I don't want to take a fun play and someone takes it serious. You guys know I take fun plays too. I like to have fun. So I take fun plays as well. And if someone takes that and treats it seriously, those fun plays rarely ever make money. I'm just going to tell you right now. When they do, it's pretty fun. But they rarely ever make money. It's just something that gets my little gambling out of the system. And if someone would take that seriously, they can lose a lot of money. So I'm not about that. I will show you good trade setups that I see. If you hear me talk about something very obviously, like you heard me talking about gold, how the dollar was going up, you kind of could put together like, I'm really paying attention to the gold. Something I'm really paying attention to still are the Qs and the SPY gap going back up as the SPY gets to that weekly expected move. So those are all things I'm paying attention to. Look at the SPY going to a weekly expected move very early on in the week, right? Still Tuesday, not Monday, but going to that weekly expected move. So what would this tell me? Well, if I was short for whatever reason right here, and I know that this is a 68% zone and this is a 32% zone, I'm taking the bigger percentage. Maybe I'll leave a contract in case something crazy happens if I'm seeing a bigger signal, like a daily crossing down. If I saw a daily crossing down, hey, hell yeah, okay, awesome, I'll keep a contract, but I'm still going to take some profit in this area because I'm trading options, and this is as low as the options market expected the SPY to go for the entire week. Like if I just think that very common sense logic here. I'm trading an option. The options market is only pricing in the SPY to go down to 550, 543. So that is where I should take some profit. If I'm seeing a bigger signal for something crazy to happen, potentially with volatility turning up and the SPY turning down pretty dramatically here, like a daily crossing down, I can keep a few contracts and not risk a ton of money. Hussein, yeah, weekly, or what is it? Sorry, I missed. What is the SPY expected move for the day? 560. We're already well outside of that. 560.50. The downside move is 555, 43, and then the upside 571.93. So there you go. Tesla is a yo-yo right now. It really is. It really is. Still positive. XLU going positive. Some going into the safety. Greed is pretty high as of right now. Is daily expected range and max pain the same thing? No, it is not. No. Let's look at the SPY since we're on it. We'll do the 30-minute here just to make sure we're zoomed in pretty good. Notice they're starting to get a little thing here. We'll see if we bounce off of that range. And then max pain. Let's go pull up max pain and I'll show you guys a little something here, because max pain does not always mean it's going to be like the middle of your zone or something like that. It'd be funny if the one time I show, sorry, I punched the mic. It'd be funny if the one time I show it, it is. All right, let's look at the end of the week. So the 6th. Max pain sitting at 555. So as we know that, we say max pain's at 555. If you were saying max pain, then technically max pain should be right here. Now, I would say normally, a lot of the time, probably more than 60% of the time, your max pain is within this range, right? Your max pain, that makes sense though. The max pain is in that range. But if you were saying if you wanted to call max pain every week to a T, you would say the center of this zone. Why? Because, well, call people would like this, put people would like this, so the middle of the zone would make sense. That would be 564. Your max pain for the SPY for this week, for this Friday's expiration, is 555 on the dot. But we know there's a major call wall at 570, right? Where is that? That's up towards this. Big call wall there at 570. That's what you really want to pay attention to with max pain. Not necessarily where max pain is, but where are all the calls and where are all the puts lurking? And all the calls, major calls, by the way, look at this, I'll show you. Calls, 570, a huge amount compared to everything else. Puts, 550. So where would it make sense? Well, somewhere in this 550, in this general area, would make sense for us to see a little put wall come into play. Put wall come into play. And then as we get up towards maybe a 570, that can be your call wall. Would that be enough to take you to a new all-time, oh God, I'm hiccuping, high? Yes, it would. Would that be enough to give you a 2-hour divergence? Yes, it would. Would that be enough to give you a daily divergence? Yes, it would. So I can pay attention to that and say to myself, okay, so if we do make a rapid upward move, I got to start paying attention from 570 up to that weekly expected move right in this area. If you see a lot of the time, by the way, I've done this before, I'll look at max pain and then talk in my YouTube videos and I'll say this area right here is really important. But a lot of the time I don't want to discuss why max pain can be important. So I'll just say this area right here could have sellers lurking. That sometimes is because I'm paying attention to max pain. But is it enough? Is it enough of a reason for me to put it in a video? I don't think so. Or not max pain, but a call wall or something like that is in this area. So I think that this area right here would be some great resistance. As far as downside goes, maybe I need to look for the day, as this move has been pretty rapid. You just go up here, click on today. Let's see what's happening. All right, 550 and 555. Where are we sitting with the SPY? 555. That happens to be the max pain, but for the most part, you would say 555 is where that buying could actually come in. If we break below that, it can get worse, maybe go down to 550. And then if we break below that, you're seeing something absolutely crazy at that point. I can tell you right now, the Dow's not seeing much more weakness. SPY's going down to a weekly expected move of Q's going down rapidly here. Maybe with, you would say, an hourly something, right? There is divergence here outside of the weekly expected move. And thank you so much. I didn't see who did something, but hold on one sec. Let me go look. Thank you so much, Short Fridays, for the $10. I hope that all that was a little bit helpful. Did the SPY breach the daily? Yes, it did. It breached it right away. Pretty much right away, you gapped below it. That's a big sign, by the way. That's a big sign for likely to still see something crazy, right? Go to a weekly expected move because you're gapping below it, okay? Can you show that scenario explanation? Can you show that scenario explanation on a more volatile stock? Which scenario, real quick? You got to remind me. I have like 6 in my head at all times. How likely is Apple to reach the weekly expected move? We do gravitate towards them. Oh, whoops, Apple. We do gravitate towards them. So pretty likely, I would say, if you get really close to it, pretty much within a couple dollars, you're usually heading towards it. So where are you at right now? We're pretty much right at it almost right now. So anywhere when you're within range of it, you want to be paying attention to. If you had short at the top, right? Short at the top or something like that, boom, it comes down to a weekly expected move or even towards it. And then you want to look at other things. So it's not just weekly expected move every single time, right? I need to go exactly to the weekly expected move. No, you want to find reasons. I think one of the things that is very difficult for traders is taking profit on positions. If they're short, they think it's always going to crash down, and it could, right? But you want to be a diligent trader. You want to be an intelligent and making smart decisions. So if I see Apple almost to a weekly expected move, I see the SPY already testing its, I see the Qs breaking below its, while the SPY is just testing its weekly expected move, I might look at my Apple trade and go, I'm going to take some off of the table even before it hits that move, and then I can maybe break even and let the rest ride if that's going to see something crazy. Or I could take some profit. There you go. You're pretty much hitting the weekly expected move now for Apple. There you go. You I believe you're like 20 cents off or something like that. That is good enough for me. As I'm seeing the SPY hit a weekly and the Qs hit a weekly, I would go, okay, I'm going to take profit here to make money. If I want, I could leave a few contracts. That's kind of how I treat it. But I have to see bigger reversal signals. I have to see the daily crossing down, right? That's a dramatic move down. That's a very, very bad move down. You have this. Now Apple's picking the direction. Is the dollar scaling up at the same time? Yes. So all of this is saying, uh-oh, watch out below. But at the same time, I want to be a smart trader. So I'm going to take some profit here and then see if that turns back up and then falls back down by the end of the week. That's what I'm going to do if I want to, and I'm seeing those bigger reversal signals like the Qs start to cross down here, going a tiny bit lower, I can leave some of those contracts on the table. Let's see, short Fridays, did you say? Just how about this, short Fridays? Maybe, first of all, tell me what scenario you're looking for. If that 2 hour would cross up, might be the scenario you're asking about. Major support for the QQQ was actually broken, so now we could see if we're going back into this liquidity in here. I would say gap fill would make some sense if we want to head lower, but as of right now, it's more like this is the main support for the Qs, but I'm going to tell you right now, weirdly enough, this is another main support for the Qs. When the SPY are hitting its main support, now you have both of these at the same time outside of their weekly expected move. So it's not on the same chart, but if you think with common sense, if the SPY is going to start to do this, the Qs could start to do this, and now they're both outside of that move. So I'd say right where we're at right now should be some pretty good support. And you do have gap support in there. So we could have gap support. Someone even saying this morning, maybe we go fill that gap, then we turn up. Fill the gap, then we turn up. That would make some sense. 2-year, 10-year going to invert any day now. These are actually really close, 0.03 away. Now less than 0.03 away, actually. So this morning they were about 0.03 away. Now they're a little bit less than 0.03, about 0.028. As we look over at something like NVIDIA, that thing is dropping off and that is crossing down on a daily. So NVIDIA is a different one. NVIDIA came down to a weekly expected move. It chopped below it. It still says to me, I'm going to take some profit if I'm short on this, but I might leave some runners here because this could go lower, right? This could go lower. We could go down to the 200. We could go down into our buy zone and I can see if I can make a little bit more money out of it. Max pain versus expected move, but I got it now, I think. Yeah, if there's more confusion, please ask questions, short Fridays. Let's see, max pain versus the expected move. Yeah, max pain is usually within the expected moves, but don't bank on it being like on an expected move or in the middle of the channel all the time, right? That thing could be pretty much anywhere and you can pay attention to it as its own data point. You don't want to mix the two necessarily, but the SPY happens to be at that max pain level right now. Actually, let's go look at volatility here. Someone saying that 15-minute looked like it was going to cross down. For this, a lot of the time I like to see a little 5-minute divergence. Do we even have that? You do have a 5-minute divergence on the RSI, but not on the MACD at the same time. So sometimes a 5-minute can tell you when a 30-minute's going to roll over. It looks like we might do that soon, actually. If we're not going to confirm down on that 5-minute, though, that means volatility is scaling up past levels where it's like, oh, God. Yes, spicy. So max pain refers to the options market mostly. It's where you see like where it would perfectly land for pretty much everyone to lose money. And the market maker makes the most amount of money. I think the data today was positive? As far as the data goes, let me take a second look at it real quick. It came in at 47.2 for the PMI. So, let's see. This is the thing you need to know. Yeah, that's kind of what I figured. Okay, I was just making sure before. I like to clarify my thinking before I sometimes give my input. As far as the PMI goes, going up higher than what is expected, and what I overall was looking at was what was the level it needs to be higher than that's not in the data. So I know it's higher than these numbers, but I wanted to know the exact number it needs to be above to tell you that the economy is growing. The number it needs to be above for the economy to continue to grow is overall 42. Is it above that level? Yes. So you would say 47.2, the economy is still growing. So there's two ways to take that. Are people going to react because that kind of is actually inflationary, right? For this to be a high number, that's pretty obvious. A little bit inflationary for that to be higher because the economy is still growing and it is higher than the previous. So that could make reactions from yields and things like that. As we go over and maybe look at yields, you're going to see maybe a 10-year dropping down dramatically, which is interesting to me. I believe the opposite reaction should really be happening, but that's fine. Sometimes you just see this reaction. Overall, 47.2 coming in above the previous means that the economy is still growing. What does that tell me as far as assets go? It actually tells me that assets could keep growing, which is kind of interesting to see this big downward push, because with a higher PMI, that says things are still growing. Now, that initial scare could be, oh, we're still growing. That's not a good thing. They can't cut the rates. Inflation is going to grow. All of that could be the reason that you're selling off here. But for the most part, you would say a higher PMI in any category really would convince you, okay, assets most likely will still continue to grow at this point from that type of data. It means assets are still growing higher. But at the end of the day, do you want to just look at a data point and make a decision? No, we want to see the data, look for the reaction in the market, and make a decision. That's how I like to do things. I don't just see a PMI, and I didn't just see a PMI and take shorts, right? I see the PMI and I go, well, that actually means we could see assets grow a little bit. And then jobs data is what really should shake up the market. And jobs data is in a lot of the titles on the news right now. A little shakeout before jobs data, or people feel negative about jobs data going forward. Then tomorrow we get a good JOLTS number and everything goes up, right? Thanks so much, Short Fridays, for the $5. Aren't those market makers such nice folks? Why is AMC so bad? Well, it's because it curled down. It's never really curled back up. Right now, you actually have pretty close to crossing into positive territory here for the 30-minute. That would be a good sign. GameStop still remaining positive here. Okay, GameStop still remaining positive. So why is AMC so bad? Well, in the past, we curled down on a 30-minute. What did we say on this channel all the time about AMC and GME? When they saw the big moment, I'm guessing that's what you're looking for, Alexander. When they saw the big moment, a 30-minute crossed up, it never crossed back down until we reached a high of like $100-something, right? And then after that, when it did cross down, it crossed back up again and went even higher than the $100 or whatever it was at. Went even higher than that, and it made a divergence. So weirdly enough, what you learn in the technical indicators course that is still 90% off for pretty much today only, as long as that's still functioning, I'll leave it for today only. If it's having trouble, right, if Teachable's having trouble on their tech side, then we will leave that up for another day as that is resolved. But the 30-minute crossed up for AMC, made a high, came down, and then the MACD did this, giving you that type of look. But the price action did this. So at the high of AMC, you actually had a perfect sell signal on your 30-minute chart. I bet you didn't know that. Yeah, on AMC, It had a higher high while the indicator had a higher or a lower high, telling you the momentum to the upside was dying out, and there's your perfect sell. So I'm guessing that if we are going to see a big moment, you are going to see a 30-minute curl up, go into positive territory, and not be able to curl back down. So with all of that information, I could say, okay, if the 30-minute curls back down, it is not the moment. Curls up, it could be. Curled back down is not the moment. Curls back up, it could be. That's what you want to be looking at, but the shorter time frames can be difficult. So something you could do is just wait and see. Daily goes like this, price goes like this, and then you go, uh-oh, that thing is popping off. Nvidia going all the way down to 109. Pretty crazy. Watch the SPY though. There's the target maybe, because the SPY hitting a weekly expected move. Remember, we said for the Qs as well, someone asking for a main support. Well, the Qs, the first one is daily expected move. Second one, weekly expected move. Third one is whatever the price is at when SPY hits its weekly expected move. SPY does need, or I mean, AMC needs more volume, but they're not allowing that volume to hit the tape. It seems they're not allowing the volume to hit the tape on those. So it's kind of just rough. They're just sending it all to dark pools. And then 4 is things like Nvidia that are dropping off more dramatically. If we're going to drop off more dramatically, look for monthly expected moves, right? That's what we'd be doing. Kicking yourself for that massive move on some natural gas. I've got too much natural gas over here, you know what I'm saying? Just kidding, just kidding, just kidding. Oh God. See, something like gold, like this is something I'm still holding on to because it's crossed over on its daily. So if things are crossing over on the daily, it's going to be difficult for them to go back to the upside. Something like Nvidia will be difficult. So if you're looking at something like Nvidia, you're really hoping by the end of the day, all that buys back up. Until they hit, until they need to hit max pain or something like that. Then they shoot it up, they get it to $5, right? AMC, we get that to $5 pretty much every single freaking week. I think like was it last week that things were a little bit different? Possibly. The thing with the Dow, it saw the drop off and then it just stopped. So I was shorting the Dow and made some money off of that play, but I'm kind of thinking we make still one more move up. We'll see. We'll see. People aren't getting overzealous to the put side. The $100 course teaches you how to use the monthly ranges, and then those change every single week. So that comes with the Patreon. And Patreon's about $7 a month. It's like a nice cup of coffee every single month. Thank you for the cup of coffee. Really appreciate it. But yeah, that's how you'd get those weekly expected moves. But if you just trade something like the SPY and the Qs, Jeffrey, I give those for free on YouTube every single week. Every single Sunday, we give a video out and we show you these updated ranges. And every single day, we give you the updated daily expected move for the SPY and for the Qs. So we give a lot of free stuff away on the YouTube channel, and then we try to give you a ton of value. It's pretty much, if you have those weekly ranges on Patreon, it's worth like it's probably worth like $100 a month, honestly, because it can be so useful. And we do give monthly expected moves, and we do give daily expected moves for every stock that we do cover on Patreon. We do give those out every single Thursday night. GME is going to the moon for real. Well, these are all the signals. If you caught my YouTube video last night, I said, if you're seeing the moment, these are all the signals you want to see. Why is the market crashing? As of right now, it looks like most of the media behind saying it's crashing, which I don't believe it is. By the way, I think we're just heading to a weekly expected move, getting a fake out, but doesn't mean I can't be wrong. But as far as the media talking about why it's crashing, it's people trying to take into consideration early the jobs data that the Fed is really worried about. It pays for itself. Thank you for saying that, Josh. Really appreciate it. Yeah, I think most of the people that take the course within like a week, they tell me, okay, yeah, I've made like 5 times back what I paid for the course when they bought it for like $200. It's pretty much like, hey, I made it back in my first play. That's what's great. Fed's gonna hold the rates because of that. Weirdly enough, if you actually see more cooling in the labor market, if you really think about it, what causes the economy to grow? Businesses, people with jobs, right? You have a job, you keep growing a business with your job, right? You having a job allows the business to continue to grow, but if they have to fire you for whatever reason, that company's not going to grow faster, right? That company is actually probably going to slow down. So that would actually tell me that if we actually see cooling in the labor market further, we see higher unemployment, you actually could continue to see a reaction down from the yields, meaning we could see bigger cuts, and that's where you really want to be worried. As of right now, this yield heading down most likely isn't because of the data we got today. Most likely is because people are trying to price in, hey, if we get bad jobs data, bad jobs data, bad jobs data, before we've even gotten it. Yeah, I think this would be where you more likely see a short-term bottom. We'll see what happens. What are the weekly SPY moves? You're at it right now. 571.93 to the upside and 555.43 to the downside. Starting to see a little bit of a bounce from that level. The reasoning for holding rates is actually the data you got today. This still says the economy is growing. This is a reason to hold the rates, right? As far as JOLTS job openings, if that comes out, in any direction, we'll see. But JOLTS job openings, we'll see what happens with that. For the most part, as far as maybe holding the rates steady, would be another PMI coming in very hot, right? Coming in above. That would convince you to hold the rates. But ultimately, it's all down to these guys. It's all down to these guys. And I think it's mainly down to this guy right here, unemployment. If that ticks up, they might have to cut rates a little bit harder than what they're doing right now, 25 basis points, but they might have to quickly cut by 50. That's where you want to react. DJT is in my zone. It's in my buy zone with a great 30-minute signal. If that 30-minute can cross back up, watch out. Yeah, but above 42 is still growing for PMI. I think it's above 42 overall, though. I know above 50 is the overall number, but above 42 is still a growing economy. At least from my understanding. Good morning, Luke Cassidy. How you doing this morning? 465.34. I have a support buy level on the Qs. That's where it's bouncing. Got out of my puts right at it, so I'm up in this. I like it. Congratulations. It's in my buy zone, by the way, for DJT, but I haven't seen a confirmed divergence. I'd like to see that divergence confirmed. This has been downward for a long, long time. Still holding that same direction with the tapering, I would say. Right, still holding a pretty similar direction. So I want to see if that can confirm back out of the zone, curl up a 2-hour chart and everything looks dandy, curl up a daily chart after that. That would be great. Yeah, so if you're asking me for support levels for the Qs still, just that's something we haven't talked about before. I do look at when the SPY is hitting the weekly expected move, like because the Qs will cut below it first, then the SPY hits it. I look at whatever that price point is that the Qs are at, that's what I'm paying attention to. And let's go pop over back to NVIDIA real quick. NVIDIA really starting to scale up again here from that level. Is it going to get back within that weekly expected move? It looks like it. We're about to go back into the weekly expected move for NVIDIA. AMD went down to its weekly expected move, pretty much right at it, starting to curl back up. So we'll see what happens from here on. You in anything? As of right now, I'm going to dabble with something like NVIDIA, maybe just take like a quote unquote fun play, right? Just kind of taking the signals and saying, hey, this is outside of a 68% zone. So I bought a couple contracts for NVIDIA, nothing too crazy, just like, hey, if I see a big reaction up, I can make a good amount of money with a little amount of trade or a little bit of money at risk, right? So with NVIDIA making this massive of a move, I can take a little bit of a risky play, I would say, but I can use it with a small amount of money, and then if that just pops up to here all of a sudden, we see a rip back, okay, cool, I can make my money and be out. But I have sold all my short positions, except for one. One I am holding just in case. Apple 230 calls look attractive. So Apple was able to cut below 225.84, and one thing with Apple is you got to see if that daily is able to cross. Now, if that daily doesn't cross, you could be forming maybe even a head and shoulders, right? We could see this hold as something, or you might just say cup and handle in some way or something, but I would more so be saying, okay, is this going to add up to something, right? Are we just going to curl up and curl right back down? That's what I'd be looking for from something like Apple. Did that go to its weekly expected move as well? I need to update my other charts. Yeah, and it went down to a weekly expected move. Q's really starting to snap back a little bit here. SPY bouncing off that weekly expected move. 68% chance we do this by the end of the day. That's pretty much how it would look too. We'll see. Meta's one that does have some divergence points here, by the way. So if Meta does curl up here, that would be a solid actual deadness and momentum play, right? This would be that technical indicators play. Still seeing it hold pretty true, not going too far off. There are a few curl ups, so you got to take it with a grain of salt. But if that does curve up here, I'd be watching closely if that 2 hour can just rotate back up. I don't necessarily think it's completely over for stocks yet. Looking for that 2 hour curl up trap. As of right now, it's all bad stuff though, right? We need to see some things turn back around. VIX still high for the SPY to bounce. Well, volatility, one thing to note here is on like a 5 minute or something like that, we are seeing this go to a higher level. Now, we're seeing volatility go to a higher level, which means we can see rip around moves. Has the SPY from, say, I guess that was this morning. What's this point over here? August 28th. So on August 28th, are we selling below August 28th right now for the SPY? That's kind of what I want to look into. There's August 28th. Are we selling below that? No, we're actually holding up better. We're holding up just a little bit better than that. You see my dotted line, we came just a little bit above that point. So that could tell me, okay, maybe the SPY is going to hold up better, because if volatility is getting past that level, then technically the SPY should be below that level, using it as resistance and heading lower. That's not necessarily happening just yet. We'll see if it continues, but for the most part, you would say, why is the SPY holding up so well as volatility is increasing from that point? Should we do a poll? You guys want to do a poll? All right, let's do the Qs. They're a little sketchier. Qs look a little sketchier, pretty damn far outside of that weekly expected move. We can do a little poll for fun. Let's do it. All right. Start a poll. Will the SPY, or no, sorry, Qs, QQQ, will the QQQ end back in the daily expected moves? Ooh, that's a good question. That's a good question, because that's pretty far away. Luis is thinking that the selling might be over for the day. Doubt it, but you never know. Trying to see if there's any hints out there. Not a ton of hints, really, to me. Dollar is scaling up. That makes total sense. But once again, if we're selling off, you know, completely selling off and the Qs are going to lower levels, wouldn't you expect the dollar to be scaling up even more? And plus, this is what I'm looking for still. I'm looking for a moment where the dollar is going higher and the market actually goes higher at the same time. So right now, even in this bar, this 30-minute bar here, what's happened? The dollar's headed higher. What's happening for the SPY? The SPY tried to head higher. So that's interesting. The VIX is your hint as of now? NVIDIA to 85, I think that's very less likely. This week, I'll say that. This week, it's less likely. If you do something like this and then you drop again, then maybe you could go to 95. I don't know about 85, though, just yet. Let's go look at Bitcoin. Someone's saying that was dropping off pretty dramatically. The key thing here with Bitcoin is the 2-hour did drop down, right? It did cross. You have 40 minutes left in the bar, so it's saying downside's the most likely direction. Yeah, I don't really see 85 just yet. Put call ratio sitting at 0.90. TLT trying to get that breakout moment. Not able to cross on a 2-hour just yet. And the 2-hour for the SPY is still positive, so just about 4 hours of positive price action. You can curl that thing up. Did it fail? NUE? Ooh, yeah, well, that's a pretty decent cup and handle too. I would say this might have violated that a little bit, but for the most part, you could see that structure to head higher. I like that structure to head higher, and it even curled up here. So that is a big fake out on the 30-minute. Not the best thing look, not the best look there for this guy. Now you do have 2-hour divergence confirming now. So is the daily going to cross over soon? That's what you got to be aware of. What was the last pretty good signal for a major bounce? Okay, right here, we notice that we have this upside, we have this downward move. Okay, maybe we need to dip down one more time. Give us a similar signal to this one right here. But yeah, that's a failure of the cup and handle for sure. Hollow. A lot of these types are going to be a similar situation, which is going to be, can we just go positive on the daily scale? These are all speculative, so the main thing you need to understand here is you can see pops at any time, and if you're confident in it, if you know, I'll talk about this. One of my dad's buddies, one of his strategies back in the day when he was first talking to me about stocks was like, he takes about, I think it's like, shoot, $5,000, $10,000 per year, and he puts $1,000 into 5 penny stocks, and one of those penny stocks goes from 20 cents to $10, and then he's like, okay, cool, like that's it. So he, like, you know, what, 50 times his money or something like that. And that was one of his strategies. He's just banking on like, hey, I'm going to put $5,000 into 5 very skeptical stocks that are very, very cheap and see if one of them pops. And it worked actually decently well for him. So that's kind of the mentality I would have with these type of things. It's like, I don't want to use money that I absolutely need in order to trade it. But if I have an extra amount of money lying around and I think, hey, I could see something with this, I looked into the company, blah, 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 blah. Okay, cool. I'll buy $1,000 worth, and if that goes to $5, I can sell that. You know, that's kind of how his strategy was. It's not what I do in any way, but that's more how I would treat things like this, because technical analysis on this is crap. On a stock like that is crap. At least AMC and GME are giving moves back and forth, right? Moves back and forth to kind of go 2-hour up, 2-hour crossing down, blah, blah, blah. But this one's just like, hey, that daily goes positive at any moment. Something could happen, but something could not happen. It's kind of speculative. Now, one thing you don't necessarily want to see is like a 15-minute flag here. So you really want to see a reaction from this level from the SPY. Yeah, bond auctions are in a little bit here. 3 months, 6 months. Love that prices are at a 54 level. Jesus. Construction spending is down. Not good for housing. That makes total sense why housing is crossing down. We'll see if that can confirm back up. That's a double bottom though. That is a double bottom. So if this 30-minute curls back up, housing can actually benefit. We'll see by end of day. We are approaching 10:30, so I just wanted to go over a few things here. Just a reminder for you that these are our 68% zones, and we are outside of both of them. Now, it doesn't mean that you can't land outside of these zones and you can't see something bad. We're seeing NVIDIA crossover on the daily. That's bad and things like that. But for the most part, you do have a 68% chance to do that by Friday. It doesn't mean you can't do this for the whole week, and then Friday you finally see that upward move. So just take that into consideration as of right now. For the most part, we would say, hey, 68% chance to land up, 32% chance to see something crazy. You're seeing something crazy on the Qs, the SPY, not seeing something crazy really just yet. This is all expected by the market maker, by the options data. This is all expected for the SPY. So if that just confirms back up by the end of the day, we can pay attention to it. So what we're going to do is we're going to come back live later today. That way we can see how the price action has added up. Tesla, for the most part, you just don't want to see that 30-minute cross down. Right, you can see how you don't want that to cross down. The 2-hour is remaining crossed up, trying to go positive. So positivity is still the most likely option for the 2-hour. But as that 30-minute rotates down, you got to start to be a little bit cautious, right? Managing trades and all that good stuff. NVIDIA really, really suffering here. Why this is so bad is because of the daily scale. So we might stay on for 10 here in about 4 minutes because I think we get some data. So I'll be looking for that. What app am I using? As far as this goes, this is TradingView. Yep. So this is TradingView. What we have on our chart here are some moving averages. And then what we're having down here on the MACD is the moving average convergence divergence. This tracks kind of momentum. RSI tracks the strength of a certain move. So as those get above the center line, if you want to learn this stuff, by the way, because it's going to take way too long. It's going to take me an hour to get through like a whole explanation of everything, but the courses down in the description are there for $150. Most likely I will leave those because I'm still seeing that Teachable's having some problems with links and purchasing of courses right now. They have those every once in a while, and they're usually pretty quick at fixing it. So we might leave the course up for the sale, the 90% off. It's never going back down to that. So you can get both courses for $150 and get good at trading and really understand what's going on these charts, maybe understand these videos a little bit better. But for the most part, we would just say, you know, they're going to fix those. We'll try to leave it live for maybe even one more day because they're experiencing problems. I saw someone trying to get it and then they're not able to click the link. So we'll see. Alrighty, looks like that's what's going to shape up. We'll see if 30 minutes can start to turn back up for the SPY and the Qs. Down at the weekly, expect to move very early on in the week, which usually does mean we're going to see an upside move. We just have to pay attention to reversal signals. So for now, guys, I will be back live in a little bit around the last hour of the day for that closing hour for Power Hour. I will be back on later today, and then we'll be putting out a YouTube video later tonight. So make sure you are subscribed with notifications on so you know when we are going live. We just need to take a chill pill, look for some price action, see if things are actually crossing over on bigger time frames, and we'll be just fine following those signals. Make sure to trade like water. I don't want to go. I have to go. Unfortunately, I do have to go, but I really do appreciate you guys being here today. Hopefully that we were able to at least find some things to talk about that we can look for, because we are heading towards a weekly expected move. Just watch for any kind of move that could come to the upside as we hit those weekly expected moves. And then for that vote, let's see how you guys voted actually. Let's end that poll. Let's see that data. Let's see what you guys are thinking. Look, 58% of people say yes, that thing is going to end back in the daily expected move. So that means the Qs, some people are thinking that you could see a reaction all the way up to 472. That would be crazy. That would be crazy, man. But 41% saying no. So not a huge disparity there. But for the most part, looks like some people thinking, hey, the Qs could end up going towards a daily expected move again, as we are outside of it right now and outside of the weekly. So pay attention to 30-minute roll-ups. It could mean that all of this was some kind of fake out. As of right now, not necessarily seeing the rigged behavior. We're seeing the dollar higher, PCC still pretty even. So this doesn't look like rigged behavior like we see a lot of the time outside of weekly expected moves. This can continue in the downward direction. So pay attention if bigger time frames like dailies are rolling over. The key one with that is NVIDIA. If NVIDIA is rolling over on a daily, it's not impossible for it to snap back, but it is more difficult at that point. So thank you guys so much for watching. Actually, it's 10:30. Let's see what that data has first. Let's see if we can get that data out first, and then I'll take off because I got a little bit of time. Not a bad move before lunch, right, Laws? I bet you if someone's short on this, they're probably pretty happy today. But let's hope that they are paying attention to a weekly expected move, because if they weren't convinced to take profit with a move outside of the weekly expected move, ooh, they might be beat up later in the week. But we have to see what happens going forward. The daily has crossed for NVIDIA, so still potential there to be more downside. Dang. What are we eating for today? What are we eating for today? We haven't decided, but something interesting that's been going on is all of the meat we keep getting, we feel like tastes funny. So we're trying to figure out where we could shop for that. Still not seeing anything, dang it. Gotta wait a little bit for that bond auction. Okay, we'll come back and check on that data later today. I do have to hop off, so I will be back later today. Make sure you're subscribed with those notifications on, guys. Thank you for being here today. Appreciate you. Like the video. You guys can hang out for a little bit. I'll leave it live so you guys can chat back and forth. Maybe we'll go put it on the Qs to see if that ever makes the upward move that you guys are saying, with a 58% of you saying, hey, this thing's going to end back in the daily expected move. All right? Peace out, guys. Talk to you later.